Friedrich Merz arrived in Rome with confidence. The visit was meant to project authority, stability, and leadership, especially back home, where his political standing was already under pressure. What he expected was alignment. What he encountered instead was resistance. From the very beginning, the tone was wrong. Merz approached the meeting believing Italy would quietly support Germany's migration strategy. He framed the discussion as responsibility sharing, suggesting Italy should absorb the consequences of policies that had already failed elsewhere. But the assumption that Rome would simply comply proved to be a serious miscalculation. Italy's prime minister did not raise her voice. She did not dramatize the exchange. Instead, she calmly questioned the logic behind Berlin's demands. How could Germany insist on tighter borders? She asked, while continuing to fund organizations that actively operate migrant routes in the Mediterranean. The contradiction was laid bare, publicly, and on camera. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Merz, prepared to lecture, now found himself defending, and the silence that followed spoke louder than any argument. The migration debate was no longer about numbers or logistics. It had become a question of credibility. As the press conference moved forward, the discussion widened. Migration was no longer the central issue. Economics took its place, and with it, the deeper imbalance that had been building across Europe. For decades, Germany spoke from a position of unquestioned authority, budget discipline, fiscal restraint, stability above all else. This was the framework Merz brought with him to Rome. But the Europe of late 2025 is no longer the Europe that framework was built for. Germany is under strain. Industrial output is slowing. Energy prices remain structurally high. Major manufacturers are reassessing their future. Infrastructure gaps are widening. And behind closed doors, Berlin is asking for flexibility in the very fiscal rules it once enforced with absolute rigidity. Italy did not ignore this reality. It highlighted it. Instead of defending itself, Rome compared trajectories. While Germany struggles under regulation and energy costs, Italy presented a different approach, easing bureaucracy, encouraging private investment, and prioritizing internal economic momentum. The contrast was subtle but unmistakable. At that moment, the roles reversed. The traditional teacher no longer controlled the classroom. The student no longer sat quietly. The authority that once came automatically now had to be justified, and it wasn't. Then came the most damaging point of all. Behind the rhetoric of discipline, Germany is seeking relief. Requests for softer debt rules, exceptions, time, understanding. The very mechanisms Berlin once denied to others are now essential to its own stability. When this contradiction surfaced, the narrative collapsed. It was no longer a disagreement. It was exposure. The message delivered in Rome was simple but devastating. Leadership cannot be claimed while asking for exemptions. Moral authority cannot survive selective enforcement. And dominance built on past success fades quickly when present conditions no longer support it. But the implications did not stop at economics. The diplomatic dimension widened further when the conversation turned toward global alignment. While Germany continued to frame security through escalation and obligation, Italy spoke of fatigue, realism, and the need for strategic recalibration. The difference was not ideological, it was generational. One side spoke from habit, the other from adaptation. The final signal was unmistakable. Europe's internal hierarchy is no longer fixed. Influence is no longer guaranteed by size alone. And the power to shape outcomes is shifting toward those who can adjust faster, not those who insist the old order still applies. Friedrich Merz did not leave Rome strengthened. He left exposed. What was meant to be a display of authority became a demonstration of transition. And in that moment, Europe was reminded of a difficult truth. In politics, relevance is never permanent. It must be earned again and again.